College District Governing Board meeting. In observance of the current Centers for Disease Control and Prevention guidelines and Arizona Governor Douglas Ducey's Executive Order 2020-52 regarding social distancing, this meeting is being held virtually. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge those from Central Arizona College in attendance. I am Dan Miller, Governing Board President, Gladys Christensen, Board Member, Rick Gibson, Acting Vice President Secretary, David Odiorn, Board Member, Jackie Elliott, Central Arizona College President, Chris Wadka, Vice President of Business Affairs, Jenny Cardenas, Vice President of Student Affairs, Mary Kay Gilliland, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Brandy Bain, Vice President of Talent Development, and Mary Lou Hernandez, Executive Assistant to the President and Governing Board. I'd like to call the September 15th, 2020 governing meeting to order. First item up, action item is a consideration of the consent agenda. All of the following matters are part of the consent agenda and are be approved by one motion. There will be no specific discussion of these items. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any governing board member. Are there any items that need to be removed? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
President,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
Second. Make that motion. I'm sorry.
okay, I understand Gladys is seconding the motion. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mary Lou, would you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Board Member Christensen,
Yes.
Board Member Gibson,
Yes.
Board Member Odiorn,
Yes.
Board President Miller.
Yes.
Motion approved and passes unanimously.
Great. Okay, Chris, I know you're on deck. Have some other business to finish up on. With the approval of the consent agenda comes a dissolution of our first board committee on monitoring presidential performance. On behalf of the board, I want to thank the committee chair for the leadership, prompt resolution, and effectiveness of the committee. Dr. Odiorn, thank you for your service and dedication. Please thank your members for their hard work. Mr. Waka, item 3, sale of partial 507-03-0580. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to all the governing board members, all staff and visitors and guests that we have on our virtual board meeting this afternoon. So on the agenda is a sale of a parcel of land. It is a very small parcel that is adjacent to, or I should say it's located close to the Casa Grande Center. It was one of 5 parcels that was purchased back in 2009. Within the last couple of months, we were approached both by the city, and we have Richard from the city on as well to answer any questions, and the Honoring, Hiring, Helping Our Heroes of Pinal County, HOHP for Heroes, and we have Kim and Udo on the line as well to answer any questions you may have. We were approached to purchase this one particular parcel of land. There was an appraisal that was made, and the HOHP for Heroes has raised $25,000 for the purchase of this particular one parcel. And we had a fair market value assessment that is a fair market price that is acceptable to the college. So therefore, we do recommend that the board approve this sale to the HOHP or Heroes of Pinal County organization. I'm sure that Udo or Kim can talk some more specifically about the organization, its mission, and perhaps what they plan on doing with this parcel of land. But at this point, we do approve that the board recommend the sale of this parcel.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wadka. I am anxious to hear if there are any comments from Kim or Udo about this transaction. So, and also Richard, if you have anything as well. But and not putting you on the spot with any prepared statements, but I think the board would like to hear really what you have planned for this parcel. So I'll turn it over to Kim and Udo. to speak. And Richard, you can chime in at any point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're very excited and hopeful that we'll be able to obtain this parcel of land. We are working on transitional housing for homeless veterans. We don't have any transitional housing in Pinal County. And last year we were gifted some property out on McCartney Road by Horizon. And we'll be able to house veterans that are homeless and put them through some different programs and stuff to get them on their feet. And securing a lot to do some more transitional from out on McCartney into town into a house type setting where they are taking more steps to get on their feet with finding employment and being able to take a next step into transitioning and being on their own in their own house after a while of building up some income and purchase their own home, or also get rent for their own home. So it's like a gradual step from being in a dorm style setting out on McCartney Road where our new facility is, and move into town and take that next step to be able to become self-sufficient and transition into some housing that would be built on that lot. That lot's an excellent spot. It's like centrally located where they can walk to the store, or they can walk down to our center here in town on Florence Street. But it's centrally located in Casa Grande where they have access to services that they need to continue their transition to self-sufficiency. Udo? Richard?
No, I think you said it all. I think our when people ask us what is our mission is to serve veterans and their families within Pinal County, and I think we're on the right track. We've been doing this for 8 years. We've been very thankful for all of the support we've gotten. This is just another milestone for us because we have a mobile unit that reaches every community in Pinal County, including 7 on the Indian reservation. And they're very thankful that we can reach those that really can't make it to Phoenix or Tucson. We're one of the advocates to bring a VA into Pinal County, a full-blown VA hospital and services to our veterans so they don't have to drive out of the county to get services. And this is just another step for us to, the transition center is going to be more of a training and getting them healthy and allowing them time to become good stewards of the community. And then the lot that we're proposing, we're looking at maybe putting 4 smaller 1-bedroom, 1-bath homes on it where they can actually learn that they have rent and utilities and save money to get on their own and do whatever they need to do to be successful.
So Udo, did you say, I'm sorry, Richard, just a second. Udo, one question was, did you say there'd be 4 homes planned to be built on this parcel, this one parcel?
Well, we're talking right now with the architect. He's throwing emails back, and I think Kim and I are going to request that we sit down with him and discuss that. I mean, originally we were looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath and all of that, but our needs are smaller because we deal with a lot of single and married couples, and we don't need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, it would be nice to have, but the lot's not big enough to support that. In our case, if we had 1-bedroom, 1-bath units, and the city has been very cooperative as far as eliminating easements and things like that to let us get the most out of our property, we possibly can put 4 units on that property.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify the statement you had made. Richard, sorry I interrupted you.
No worries, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. and have to thank Dr. Elliott for her leadership again and her whole team for the support that they've shown for this. The city is, in my role as the Economic Development Director for the city is very interested in trying to support efforts such as this that help remove obstacles to employment, and in this case also support our veterans. I'm a veteran myself, so it's near and dear to my heart. And so it made sense. This lot is situated, not only will it help alleviate or remove some of those obstacles for housing for our vets, transition it back into the community, but it also in this location provides close proximity to employment opportunities. So that's another benefit to the site. And the third piece that is kind of very exciting about this is that we're partnering with a 3D construction firm that is looking to utilize 3D construction methods to build these units. So it would be the first of its kind in the county, definitely, and it's going to be one of the first inhabitable dwellings that is going to be constructed. There's been others that have been built, but nothing that's really been lived in. And so this is very exciting innovation and support for our vets. It's a win-win-win for everybody at this point in time. And the city is going to continue to work with this to try to maximize the use for that space. We've agreed that we're definitely in support of looking to remove some of those setbacks and the easements. And so we're just looking forward to, with your approval, of course, move forward to get this constructed and welcome some vets into this operation. And again, thank you all to CAC and your leadership and your support for this.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Richard. Kim, Udo, anything else to add?
This is groundbreaking for Pinal County in Arizona. It's not been done, so we're gonna be on the map, y'all. We're excited.
All right. Before I open up the questioning by the board, Jackie, do any of your staff have anything to add about this parcel? Any background, anything that might help with the decision?
No, I think they covered it.
Okay. All right. So I'll open up to the board. Any questions for our distinguished panel here? Kim, Udo, and Richard. Mr. Gibson.
Mr. Miller, President Elliott, Kim, Udo, Richard, thank you for an excellent presentation. I'm gathering here from what I've read about the possible transaction and from your descriptions today that there is going to be a strong educational component built into this preparation. It's not just a place to live, but it's also a place to learn. Am I misunderstanding? And if not, perhaps you could give me a little bit more information about how educational opportunities, maybe not formal education, but learning opportunities for people to help them regain a sense of stability within the community.
Out at the Transition Center, Mr. Gibson, we will be having classes out there. Education is a big piece to what we want to do for our veterans, and we can see Central Arizona College right across from our current facility, the facility we're going to be opening next year. Employment and education is actually a big piece to helping veterans get on their feet. So it's a big part of making sure that our veterans are prepared for work and ready to go. And then even when they transition into town, I'm hoping that there will also be other opportunities for them as well to continue. Maybe they're going to take a class. We get them enrolled at CAC and they're taking a class. They transition into town, but they continue to go to school out of the college. But that's one of the things we want to push is using their post 9/11 so that they can go to school and get on their feet and take care of themselves and their families.
Great. Okay, great question, Rick. Any other questions for the panel? Hearing none, I believe we're ready for a motion. Rick, recognized?
This is Rick Gibson, and I move that we approve the sale of the property as presented.
Okay, have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I would second that motion.
Okay, Gladys. Gladys second, sale of parcel 507-03-0580. Mary Lou, would you please do a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Board Member Christensen?
You said Christensen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Board Member Gibson?
Yes.
Board Member Odiorn?
Yes.
Board President Miller?
Yes.
Motion approved unanimously.
Great. Thank you, Mary Lou. Kim, Udo, congratulations. Now I have a parcel. I hope that helps with the efforts, and I'm looking forward to seeing what can happen out there, and we're glad to be a part of this. Richard, thank you for your participation and for your support of this endeavor. And again, I think the college and the board are very happy to be a part of this small step in a much greater application and help for our veterans.
Thank you guys so much on behalf of the HOA.
Yes, and-
Say thank you. I'm
And-
gonna cry. Thank you guys so much for making.
And
this
thank you,
happen.
Dr. Elliott. Thank you for leading this, and thank you, board members. Great things are going to come forward as we move to get this property built up. So stay tuned. We're not done yet.
We will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Take care, guys.
You too. Bye. Thank you. All right, on to informational items. Item 4, policies for first reading. Brandy Bain.
Good afternoon, Governing Board, President Miller, Governing Board members, President Elliott, Mary Lou, staff, students, and any guests online. This afternoon, I present to you the first reading of the following 3 policies. The first one is nepotism. This is a revision to an existing policy. The second one is Americans with Disability, or the ADA. This is a new policy. And the third is our Title IX policy, which is a revision as well to an existing policy. So this is only the first reading. It's for your review only. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy. Any questions from the board? All right. Oh, Rick, did I see a hand up?
You did. I'm sorry, I had to unmute.
Sorry, go ahead.
My question is this: are these standard updates pretty much like what we've been doing with others, or have there been major changes that we need to be made aware of?
They are, thank you, Mr. Gibson. They are standard updates. The Title IX policy was rewritten as a result of new federal regulations that were released. CAC actually joined a consortium with other community colleges, Maricopa, Pima, and we've all come together and created one policy. It's the same for all institutions. We will be working together in sharing investigators and different roles like that. So we'll all be on the same page. So that's kind of exciting for us. But other than that, they are updates to just, just minor changes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Brandy, does that cover, the consortium cover the ADA as well as Title IX, or just one?
Just Title IX.
Okay, thank you. That's a great idea. Any other questions? Gladys, you want to ask a question?
No,
Okay,
I read them, look good.
okay, great. Anything else? All right, thank you, Brandy. We'll move on to reports. Turn it over to you, Dr. Jackie Elliott.
Thank you, President Miller. Good afternoon, Board of Governors, friends, guests, faculty, and staff who are joining us today. I have a few district updates to share with you. In particular, starting last week, we started to bring over 300 students in a scheduled manner to campus for their hands-on learning experiences that are not possible remotely. I really want to take this opportunity to commend Dr. Gilliland, the deans, and all the faculty on their efforts to schedule the students in a manner to ensure safety and preserve learning. As you can imagine, it was a scheduling nightmare to make sure that we aren't bringing large number of students to campus, but smaller numbers. So I think when you see them, please congratulate and thank them for their efforts. It's a undertaking without question. And I think it's also important to recognize our police department and our facilities team. They have been expertly managing access to campus, not only for these students' experiences, but for other needs as well, and cleaning. And we never thought that we would be at this point still at the beginning of the semester. So it's truly been a team effort. All of the students and faculty that are participating in the on-campus learning have all completed a COVID safety training and have signed acknowledgement statements regarding personal responsibility for ensuring that they follow the CAC COVID-19 guidelines and protocols. So everyone has been doing a great job and staying in compliance. Although our student enrollment this semester is down about 12% from last fall, we somewhat anticipated this, and we're also learning that students that are not used to the full virtual online format maybe are reducing the number of hours they're taking or dropping because it is different. However, student services and other volunteers from the college have done a fabulous job actively calling students, checking on them, and offering assistance. And we are also in planning to add some late starting classes, 8-week classes, to help with enrollment, but also enable those students that were struggling to get used to the virtual format and pick up more courses if they so desire later on. And construction is moving along well on the Regional Workforce Training Center. The foundation and the outer stem walls are now completed. So that's going along well. And McCarthy and Architecton have been really good partners to work with in following our protocols for safety and health measures. And then lastly, I just want to mention that I've been participating in helping write a monthly blog for Jobs for the Future regarding the future of higher education and work-based learning and how that's going to evolve post-COVID. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Board members, any questions for Dr. Jackie Elliott? Oh, all right, Rick.
I'm sorry to keep asking all these questions, but thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Dr. Elliott, as we look at these very sensitive transitions between early stages of COVID-19 and as we're getting more used to it and as we're trying to adapt to the situations, is your feeling that we are making progress as an educational institution, or are we just kind of floating in the backwater waiting for this wave to pass us by?
Oh, I would definitely say we've made progress. And when I talk to many of my colleagues across the state and nation, many of them have put initiatives on hold, and they're handling it just like you. But for us, we said we're going to move ahead with Achieving the Dream, our Achieving the Dream kickoff network we held. And when I talked to Karen Stout at Achieving the Dream, I think there's 7 or 8 colleges that were selected this year. And she said there's only 2 presidents that said move ahead. So we've really focused on, we're going to move ahead with our Caring Campus initiative. We're going to move ahead with Guided Pathways, everything we're doing with Guided Pathways. We haven't stopped and we haven't stalled. And then our faculty have really stepped up and adapted to the training in the Blackboard Ultra. And we're trying to do things in a hybrid model as much as possible by ensuring the safety and wellness of our students. I feel like the colleges that opened and now are having to backtrack, and they're probably having a lot more angst than we are, because we knew going into this fall we were going to start out virtual and be prepared to go live versus going live and then virtual. So I really feel like as an institution that we have made great progression. We talk monthly or weekly about when we go back, what are we keeping that we're doing now? And so many good ideas have come out of it. Communications improved as an institution. the biggest concern I have, and I have a child right now that is really struggling with online learning because it's not a format that he is used to. And one of the things that I think we have to think about is when we're advising students and we're in this online format, there may be courses that we want to steer students away from, and because they may not lend themselves as well to the online format. And then also maybe steering students towards take 2 classes in the first 8 weeks and take 2 classes in the second 8 weeks. And that will allow you some time to adjust to this format. And I think we weren't prepared to think in those terms, and maybe that was a misstep, but I think now we're having those conversations with ourselves and being prepared to help students, you know, if they need to drop and then pick something up second 8 weeks. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but I feel like for us as an organization, we never stopped, we never stalled, we just kept moving forward and continue with all of our initiatives.
Thank you. And Mr. President, if I might ask a follow-up or at least make a statement, I appreciate very much your answer to this. I think all of us, at least I'm concerned about being able to deliver a quality product in a safe manner. And when we're able to move forward in a safe manner, but yet accomplish goals that we have set for ourselves, I really think that's valuable, not only to the college, but to the entire community. And perhaps even broader and beyond that, because it sets an example of how we are going to operate and accomplish goals in a safe manner. I appreciate very much, Dr. Elliott, your explanation and suggestions, and I hope that we are able to move forward in a safe manner, but still accomplish the goals of the students. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And, you know, my goal is always to, I say, is to not cause any cases. And of course, you know, one of the executive limitations you put on me in my role is to keep the safety and welfare of the college and college community. So that has been my guiding principle. And when I see these colleges that have all these cases, I don't know how their presidents sleep at night, because I think that would cause me great angst and concern. And I just learned today that a presidential colleague of mine that I have served on panels with in the past and had passed away from COVID-19. So keeping everyone safe is very important to me. And I agree with you. We do want to make sure that the quality of learning is the best it can be. And I guarantee you our faculty are committed to that, and they are going above and beyond to ensure that students' learning is not being hindered.
Great, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Dr. Elliott, I just want to say that, you know, I've seen some of the other academic institutions opening up here in the last several weeks, and some of them, it's like, oh my goodness, we got students coming now. What do we do? I think we're in our 7th online board meeting, and then even from those early days, I saw you and your staff taking the initial steps required to put the campus especially the faculty, staff, and the students into as safe a position as we could put them in. And I think you just continued to build on that. It's not been the crisis that many other places are facing, because you've planned and helped us plan to be ready for whatever comes next. And you're even talking forward thinking on what's going to be when we get out of here. I think we're very very fortunate to have a staff and faculty that looks that far ahead and then helps us be on that leading edge and doing it safely. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, nothing else for Dr. Elliott. On to business affairs with Chris Wadka.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone once again. 2 items for your information. The first one is the monthly budget reports. What you have in your packets is our reports for the first month of the new fiscal year, being July of 2020. And our district's operating fund expenditures are approximately 5.53% of the budget, comparing that to July of last year, which was at 5.55. So really just a minuscule difference. and that is typically expected for the first year of the new fiscal year. Happy to answer any questions on the first month of operations for the new year.
Questions for Chris? Chris, I have one. I do see that we are posting a loss, but it looks like it's fairly consistent being the first month, and I guess there's some funds that kind of play catch up through the first months of the fiscal year. Is that correct? Am I reading that
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Other questions? How about 6.2, Chris?
Okay, 6.2 is the awarded purchases 20,000 and over. We have a handful of them. First one being tuition for PCPP participants. PCPP stands for Professional Career Pathway Project, and that is tuition to pay us back with funds that are from the Arizona DES Child Development Grant. Second item is the Sophos software license renewal, CDWG Vernon Hills, Illinois at $42,174. That is to renew the annual license. Next one is video conferencing system, Troxel Communications out of Phoenix, Arizona, $72,001.12. That is to purchase the video conferencing systems with funds. These are some additional systems that we're purchasing, and they're being purchased from the CARES dollars that we received. Next one is Elmos for instruction, Troxel Communication also, $82,500. And that is to purchase Elmos for remote instruction for the district. And once again, this is also being purchased from our CARES dollars. And actually the next two are also from CARES dollars. And the first one is touchless fixtures for COVID upgrade, Best Plumbing Specialties, $25,353.09. And once again, also touchless fixtures for COVID upgrade, Best Plumbing Specialties, $34,628.25. And that is to upgrade throughout the entire district our restrooms to have non-touch fixtures throughout the district. And once again, these are being paid from dollars of the CARES grant. The next one is infrastructure consulting assistance, Avid Consulting, Gilbert, Arizona. It's $50,000. That is to contract for network and also system consulting services that may be used for the district in our new fiscal year. Network cabling, Herb's Phone Service out of Casa Grande, $50,000. That is also an open purchase order to purchase cabling services that may be required for the district. The next one is insurance, COVID-19, the Arizona School Risk Retention Trust out of Phoenix. That is $45,000. We are purchasing additional liability insurance endorsement specifically for COVID-19, and this is also going to be paid out of our CARES dollars.
Smart.
Next one is fire science program supplies, Ellen Curtis and Sons, Phoenix, Arizona, $61,829.24, and that is to purchase various fire science program supplies with funds that do come from the Carl Perkins grant. Server and switch upgrades, NTT America Solutions, Charlotte, North Carolina, $20,263.32. That is additional switches and server upgrades for our district. They're part of our 3-year life cycle replacement. Fixed fee billing for ERP services, Anthology Incorporated, Boca Raton, Florida, $83,600. That is to contract for any additional ERP system services for the district. Support for Child Care Center are the last two. They're both from Easter Seals Lake Foundation. One is in the amount of $23,390.34 and $23,260.22. And that is to assist the child care centers with expenses. And the first one are funds from the CCC Campus Services Grant. And the second one is from the Arizona Child Development Associate Child Care Grant. And those are all the awards over $25,000. Happy to answer any questions on those.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Mr. Watka? All right, Chris, I just had a quick question just for clarification. These touchless fixtures for COVID, those are permanent replacements, correct? Replacing existing faucets and such?
Absolutely.
And I'm sorry?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And are we installing those or is Best Plumbing installing those?
The vendor is installing them, correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Okay, on to modern reports. I see Ginny has joined us. So over to you, Dr. Gilliland and Dr. Cardenas.
All right. Well, welcome and thank you so much, President Miller, governing board members, Dr. Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues and guests. We're happy to be here again to present. You know, one of the interesting things, so today is kind of a continuation of last month's monitoring reports, and that we're looking at 1.4 through 1.6. And they're covering the areas of degree and certificates that are being awarded, our transfer rate, and then also adult basic education and GED enrollment. And, you know, typically Mary Kay and I are able to look at the report and know that we're going to present together and kind of divide it up in half. And it pretty naturally falls into one area or the other. And kind of a problem, which was a really good problem that we had this time, is that there's so much overlap in everything that we're doing that we kind of had to do things a little bit differently. So I'm going to present the 3 graphs, and then she's going to look at the recent and planned improvements, just because, again, there's so much overlap. We're doing so much together during this time. So next slide, please. All right, so as I indicated, the 3 different topics that we'll be discussing today are degrees and certificates awarded. Last month, we talked about the degree completion rates, and now this is the number of awarded degrees and certificates, the transfer rate to our university partners, and then ABE and GED enrollment. Next slide, please. So the first that we'll discuss is the degree and certificates awarded. And back in 2017, we had a target of 1,200 degrees and certificates. And I'm happy to say that we, the board thankfully was able to increase the goal for us to 1,450 for the coming year, being that we had surpassed that goal the following year. So we have seen a great increase in the number of degrees and certificates awarded overall. We've spoken many times about the different programs and stackable credentials and things that Mary Kay will talk about a little bit later that we believe have led to the great number and increase that we've seen in our degrees and certificates. So our goal was 1,450 for this year. We didn't quite meet it. We were very close. We were at 1,435, but definitely an increase from what we had seen in 2017-18, as well as the previous year. So we are very happy with where the numbers have been going with regard to degree and certificates awarded to our students. So if we go into the next slide, please. This one is a really different picture. This is our picture regarding our students who are transferring to universities. And as you take a look at the number, the goal that was determined by all of you was 50%. Which seems to be something that hasn't been attainable either for the Arizona Community Colleges, National Community Colleges, or CAC as a whole. And of course, we want those numbers to obviously be increasing and seeing more students that are transferring to our universities. And there's been a great deal of work that's gone in, and you'll hear many things from Mary Kay in just a couple minutes about what we're doing specifically to focus on transfer rates. And one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years that we believe has played into this a little bit is the universities have removed their presence on our campus in the way that they had it before. So we do still have partnerships, definite partnerships with the universities, but they no longer have a physical presence on our campus. And that's not just for CAC, that's something that we're seeing across the state as a whole, as they've shifted to a more online format. So with that being said, we need to then pivot and make changes in how we are getting our students connected to universities. And that's where you'll see a lot of the recent and improved or upcoming changes that we'll make regarding this. So again, this is the 2018-19 numbers. We did not see the increase that we obviously would have liked to have seen, but we have definitely devoted a lot of time and effort in working together to increase this number. I'm sorry, next slide. And the third of the areas or the topics that we're going to talk about regarding student success is the number of students that are enrolled in our ABEs, or Adult Basic Education and General Equivalency Diploma courses in our program. And we have seen somewhat of a decline from the 2017-18 numbers. As you see, the goal was 675, and we reached 590 students enrolled in the program in 2018-19. Again, we've seen quite a few external changes when it comes to these programs that we've had to kind of make some changes with internally at CAC with how we're offering and delivering these services to students. We don't have the comparative number for 2018-19, but as you've seen, even with a decline in the number of students who have enrolled, which is not the direction that we want to go, we still have been quite significantly higher than the other Arizona rural community colleges, and there's just great work that's happening in those areas. So I will now turn it over to Mary Kay to talk about recent and planned improvements.
Thank you, Dr. Cardenas. Good afternoon, Board President Miller, members of the board, Dr. Elliott, colleagues and guests. Continuing on, and let's go to the next slide, please. If we can.
I'm sorry, I don't have a next slide. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll just look at this graph then, that's fine, because what I'm going to speak about, the slides would have just been narrative. So first of all, I just wanted to comment that with respect to our graduation rates in terms of the degrees and certificates versus the transfer rates, I think that we're seeing a very interesting trend at Central Arizona College in that we really do have more students completing degrees and certificates. I think we, especially under Dr. Elliott's leadership, we've put a lot of effort into our direct employment certificates and degrees. And we're seeing a lot of great success there. So those numbers are coming up, and I think that part of what we're seeing in the graphs, the first two graphs, is that we have more students who are going directly to work with that 2-year degree and may possibly even be moving on to a 4-year degree later on, but perhaps not transferring quite so quickly. And then, of course, as Dr. Cardenas explained, there are some other factors that are affecting the transfer, and we are continuing to work on that. But with respect to the graphs as well, that transfer rate is only down by about 1% relative to the last time we looked. So in a sense, we're kind of holding steady, especially given the time frame that we're in. So just a quick comment on that. I have grouped the recent improvements and the planned improvements into a couple of main buckets. So I'll just kind of go through those. So when we speak about the recent improvements, one of the main things that we have done over the course of the past few years is remove barriers for students. And by removing barriers, that means moving students more quickly into college level courses, streamlining the DevEd, removing much of it, providing additional support services in academic support as well as student support to help those students move forward more quickly. And I think we're seeing some real success there. We're also allowing, first time this fall, we're allowing students to graduate with fewer CAC credits. It doesn't diminish the number of credits in a certificate or degree that's required, but we're allowing students who swirl through our system to transfer in and not have to complete 20 credits, which is what we used to require, even if they could transfer in a valid number of credits that were greater than 20 and move more quickly to graduation. So we're hoping that those are going to also have some positive results. So those are the kinds of examples of things that we've been doing to remove barriers, and there are many others as well. We are getting students on a path right away as soon as they come into CAC, and we're streamlining our programs so that our certificates and degrees have a more appropriate number of credits. We are aiming at that 60 credits for moving forward with an associate's degree or completing a direct employment AAS degree. And that's really a huge improvement from what we used to have, where we would have students completing many more credits than they actually needed for those certificates and degrees. We're also tracking them and making sure they're following a pathway, and this is fairly new, but we've been building on this for the past, really the past 3 years at this point in time. A third recent improvement, a third bucket, is that we're better supporting our transfer students. I think, we do realize that we don't have that university presence anymore, and even more so in this time of COVID. But we have a new transfer advisor, actually within the last couple of years. We are scheduling more university events on the campuses, and right now we're scheduling those virtually, but we are having all sorts of events for students, and they're attended, and the students are participating. So we hope that those are going to help us with students being able to move forward and to try to increase that transfer. We're working very hard to increase that transfer rate. A fourth recent improvement bucket is better supporting the graduation application process. So removing fees, removing deadlines, providing caps and gowns. This last spring when we weren't able to graduate on our wonderful campus, we did send out packets to all of the graduates with tassels, and we wanted to make them still feel included and feel a part of the alumni family of Central Arizona College. So we are staying on top of that. Yeah, so those are the main buckets for the recent improvements, really trying to streamline things, remove barriers, support students. And as Dr. Cardenas said, this really goes across the house. These are efforts from student services, academic services, faculty, advisors. We're all in this together, and we're working really hard and talking a lot about how do we help our students get forward. When we speak about the planned improvements, again, we really have four main buckets. One of them is more focused advising, and so we are working towards, we've actually accomplished some of this, but we're continuing to work forward to have embedded advisors in programs and more faculty advising within the program. So the students are getting good career counseling from people who are specialists in the field as well as from advising. We have implemented, or we're working on implementing, some new milestone scholarships so that we're not just supporting students as they enter, but actually recognizing succeeding with certain numbers of credits and moving forward in their programs to try to keep them motivated and keep them on track and help them continue to be excited about moving forward. We are moving towards more electronic processes, including electronic graduation applications, transcript request, and other things that will help students to get access to materials, in this broad district of ours without having to drive to a campus and fill out paperwork. And then we really are working at more pathways to completing the four-year degree within Pinal County. This was a new, actually, it's a separate measure that the board had set up, but I think it plays into our transfer success in that we are helping support students in thinking about where do they go after they're with us. We have our main universities, but making sure that students are mapped towards those pathways at the other universities and looking at options for students to actually complete that four-year degree on site in Pinal County where they don't have to leave home and family. So I think all of those are very positive. And even as this report was being put together, I became aware of some new measures that we're putting into place. And so we'll have more to report on next time around. But Student Services is spearheading, reaching out to touch students, actually to reach students by voice in this time when we're not really actually able to see each other very often, and make sure that they're doing okay, hoping to keep them on track and getting volunteers from all over the college to participate in that. And we're also looking at streamlining more programs to move students straight from the adult basic ed and GED programs right into programs that are meaningful for them and that are good wage earning programs. So we're trying to create stronger partnerships in those areas. So I will stop there and leave it open to any questions for either Dr. Cardenas or for me.
Great. Thank you, Mary Kay. Thank you, Jenny. Any questions from the board? Comments?
Mr. President.
Yes, Rick, go ahead.
I'm pondering the information that we have been given, and I appreciate very much what we have here. And I know a lot of this data was acquired pre-COVID-19. Looking forward, and maybe there's no information to back it up, but looking forward, do we see that will we see any major changes in the data that is presented to us in outcome one as we look down the road 1, 2, and 3 years?
I think if I might, go ahead. That's okay, Jackie, go ahead.
I would say potentially, in some of the things that we are learning about learning, and if you read Inside Higher Ed or the Chronicle of Higher Ed, the conversations are around micro-credentials, work-based learning, shortened time to degree, 8-week course sections to get students through. I just even saw that Google is coming out with their own certificates now. and going to be operating like a university. So I think we may see less transfers as we continue to move forward and grow our credentials, our micro credentials, our certificates that enable students to go right to work. So I would anticipate that the transfer rates may continue to decline. I would almost think that ABE GED rates would probably go up when we start thinking about unemployment and what's happening with people that are unable to find work at this particular time. And I mean, I'm no predictive analytics person, but to say it won't have an impact would be probably not very wise, but I think it will. I think we'll see our degrees and certificates awarded continue to climb as we continue with those stackable credentials. But I think transfer rate will definitely be impacted. So Jenny, Mary Kay?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I would just say that I think that that's a very accurate presentation. I actually think that although we're working to improve our transfer rate, it may be just holding steady. That may be a smaller number of students who want to go directly onto the four-year degree. I foresee more people going into some kind of workplace and then possibly, returning and doing a four-year degree later on when it becomes more important for them for management or leadership in their fields. But perhaps that being a longer drawn out period or not even necessary as we get new kinds of credentialing.
I think you've both answered it well. I don't have anything to add.
Mr. President, if I could ask a follow-up question then.
Yes, absolutely.
Given the status of where we're at today and knowing that there is going to be probably some more flexibility, for lack of a better word, going forward in the way people think about education and the need for education and particularly in higher learning, do we see any major changes that we as a college need to be doing or need to be making that haven't already been done to help place us in a position where people can have greater trust and confidence that we can help them in their challenges moving forward?
I think there's a lot of our business model that we have to evaluate, and it doesn't make sense in this day and age, let alone post-COVID. But I'll give you an example, and I sent this to Dean Atterbury and Mary Kay earlier, and this is a way to think about it. Our traditional community ed offerings were more like, country line dancing and those type of things. But I think we're going to need to see community ed switch and go to offering maybe real estate classes so people can take a short-term course to get their real estate license and shorter term CEUs that maybe they don't lead to a degree or certificate per se that we would necessarily call it, but it may lead to some kind of credentialing that then has meaning in the workforce. And so moving away from maybe the hobby type classes, which I think we should still have, but also some non-credit type learning that enables people continuing ed or to pivot and go a different direction with their careers and what's happening with the job market. Because the job market's changing so rapidly when you think about artificial intelligence and chatbots and computer science degrees in general. By the time a student finishes a four-year degree in computer science, the technology's already changed. Because typically sometimes in higher ed, we tend to be a little behind the times. So I don't know if that answers your question. These are the kind of things that keep me up at night because we have to keep my job is to keep Central Arizona College relevant and a value added for not only Pinal County, but for learners. And we need to be able to pivot and think about new learning opportunities, modalities, and offerings that enable people to get back to work in a meaningful work. But also we hear from students, they don't want to spend 4 years learning something. They want to get in and out and right to work. So that was a very clunky answer to your question because I don't really know. I just think about these things a lot and read about the future of higher ed.
Thank you. And Mr. President, if I could just make a concluding statement, and I appreciate the clarity. I know that this is very difficult times. It's hard to know what tomorrow is going to bring, let alone a year from now, or 2 years, or 3 years. But I'm really comfortable and confident that Pinal County Community College Board and district and administration and faculty and staff, students, and the supporters of the college are going to continue to come together and see the importance of education at the community college level in Pinal County. And I'm very comfortable that our educational team is looking down the road, trying to anticipate where we need to be in these difficult times and steer the ship towards that port. And I just wanted to say thank you for all that is being done at all levels to try and help Pinal County, trying to help Central Arizona College, trying to help the people in need, educational need, to accomplish their goals. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. I would just add one little piece to this is that I've always thought that being the leader of any organization, you've kind of, it's the Wayne Gretzky quote. He said he would always skate to not where the puck was, but to where it was going to be. And I've always tried to operate where that puck is going to be. I would have never anticipated this puck, the COVID-19, but I do want to commend our team because the VPs are constantly looking to where's that puck going to be and how do we get there before the other team, so to speak. So more challenging in these times, but still forward thinking has helped us, I think, as an institution.
Great comments. Great question, Rick. Any other comments or questions? I just want to go back to the graph real quick. 1.5, if you could put that up. We have a transfer rate of 50%, and even given the things that Board Member Gibson has talked about, and you also, Dr. Elliott, I'm wondering if obviously it's not achievable or attainable at this point. Is that something we might need to reconsider? And you know, given the rapid changes upon us, is there some need to make these more volatile KPIs, like you know, a percentage of national or Arizona Community College? I don't know if you can understand what I'm talking about, but basically putting 50% out there may not help, but if it was you know, a 10% above national or some kind of goal like that, would that be more realistic, or am I?
You know, I think it's a really good question. I think it's a deeper dive question, and I think there is a better measure. We may not have comparables, but so for instance, we've just mapped all of our areas of interest. What we need to do is go back and look at which areas of interest that are at CAC are designed for transfer. So when we build degrees, an Associate of Applied Science is not intended for transfer. It's considered a terminal degree. So an AA and an AS are designed to be transfer. And so maybe what we need to do is look at that and say what percent of AA and AS graduates transfer versus trying to take the whole number. Does that make sense? So in other words, segment it out by those degrees. Now, in the past, it would have been a little more difficult to do that because we didn't really have structured areas of interest. But now that we do, we can go back and potentially have a different measure that's more meaningful, because if you have an Associate of Applied Science in welding, you're probably not going to transfer. You're going to go right to work and do very, very well. But that's counted in overall 22% of our graduates transfer.
Right. I did have another question, and I don't remember what it is now. But I will make a start. I want to close this part. If any other board members have a comment, question. Well, you know, I look at where we are in the leadership that you're providing us, Dr. Elliott, and just Shackleton comes to mind. They set out to explore South America, and it turned wrong really quickly. And they ended up surviving, but they were very nimble, they were very agile, and they had a plan that they had to make changes to very rapidly. The outcome was positive. I see a lot of similarities with what's happening with the college, and I think that's a good example, and definitely appreciate that again, that this is very difficult times, and people who aren't standing up or looking forward thinking will get tripped up on what's in front of them now. So I think it's very good planning, and I appreciate all the thought that you go into it. Wish you weren't having as many sleepless nights, but I can certainly understand the worry there, and I think some of us share that in some of our other occupations. So I definitely empathize there. I don't think I have any other comments. We've covered all the monitoring reports. Our next board meeting is October 20th this year, and I have nothing else to add. So at this point, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you, everyone.